All right, so first off, I obviously have to start off that saying I can show this under free rights usage for reviews, but I'm doing a review, of course, Volume One of X Men. So, oops. Thank you, Disney, for actually putting this out on DVD. I think that's probably one of the best things Disney's done with the Marvel license so far. So hopefully they'll put out Spider-Man and we can have that. But I will be doing reviews for the entire series about the whole thing on Amazon. You can get it. The price might have gone up. It was $10 for each, so I just bought it all. But it might be $20 each now. But Volume One of X Men, it's been it's been like over a decade since I've watched the original, or not the, well, I guess it is the original X Men cartoon. I don't think there is an older one, but it's been over a decade since I've seen the 1990s X Men cartoon. I loved it, like everyone did. I loved X Men, Spider Man, even Batman, Superman. All those are probably the staple cartoons in both the Marvel and DC universes. And watching it as a kid, of course I loved it. Got to know the characters because I was a little kid, so I didn't know X Men. And I loved it then, and I still love it now. Watching through it, I actually realized the story is, it's not a day to day type of thing. I thought it was, like most shows, you go through, you learn the characters, how they met, this and that. But it doesn't do that. Like the very first episode is Sentinels. They add Jubilee to the group, and it's Night of the Sentinels Part One and Part Two, and they go right into it. And even in this first volume, it ends about 3 episodes into season two, which I think was pretty cool because they could have just cut it off, but they didn't. But it goes through like I said, Night of the Sentinels. They introduce Magneto because of course it's for new fans, so they introduce it where the characters don't know Magneto, but the characters all know each other, and just all the really big stories from the X Men universe are they're just shot in. Night of the Sentinels, Deadly Reunions, which of course is Wolverine and Sabretooth. And something I really loved, which of course I never caught this as a kid, but there's a scene in this episode, the Deadly Reunions, when Sabretooth, when he comes in, he ends up getting beat up because he like goes crazy in the court. And Cyclops is talking to Wolverine. He's like, "Come on, they're gonna kill him." And Wolverine's just like, "Good." And I was like, "Holy crap!" Like, it was a '90s cartoon. I don't think I ever caught that as a kid, but that was like pretty serious. He was just like, good. Like, I hope they kill him because as you know, Wolverine hates Sabretooth because he did some messed up stuff. And also one of the things they did, which of course I never would have known as a kid, they do show other characters in the Marvel universe. Like they've shown, like I've seen Deadpool twice now, and like little Xavier went into Sabretooth's head to see why he was so angry, and they showed Deadpool and Wolverine and some other characters that I don't know, and they've also shown um, Ghost Rider randomly. It'll just be like little clips here and there where Xavier goes through someone's head, and you'll see a character you might know. And of course, if I had enough money to buy all the comics, I'd know all the characters, but I at least know Deadpool and Ghost Rider. So I thought that was pretty cool. One of my favorites was Days of Future Past. So if you're going to see the new movie, it's in this, and it's the 11th episode in the first season. Is Days of Future Past, and I've always loved that. It's always been my favorite. Obviously, for anyone who's going to go see the movie, I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, he's gonna spoil it." But if you've seen Wolverine and the X Men, you pretty much know the story of Days of Future Past. But you don't have to worry because they always change the story from what it originally was, so it's not the same thing over and over. Like originally in the comics, I believe Rogue gets her consciousness sent back to her younger body, and in the new movie coming out, it's gonna be Wolverine, and in the cartoon, it's Bishop, and he goes back in time. And like I said, Wolverine and the X Men, if you saw that, which unfortunately got canceled, like that like that entire series was pretty much Days of Future Past, where Xavier was the one where his consciousness was sent back in time, and he was helping the X Men change the future. And like I love that, and it goes through all the really emotional stuff with Wolverine and Jean, and it kind of feels jumbled because it shoots through so much time. Like there was an episode with Kelly, and this was after the Days of Future Past. Like they saved him, and he had announced a few episodes before, like I'm gonna run for president. They saved him, and then like the next two scenes was him saying, him taking the oath as president, and then Xavier saying like when we saved his life last year. And I was like, they skipped like an entire year, in an episode, like in one episode. So it seems like they obviously skip over a lot of content. They jump through a ton of time, but they do it because they give you the huge stories. Just one after another. We get, like I said, first two episodes they introduce the Sentinels. Then Days of Future Past. They go through all the emotional content and things like that. And like the very last episode of Volume One is when Storm and Rogue go to Africa because Storm's son is taken over by the Shadow King. And like I know the Shadow King a little bit from X-Men Evolution actually, but like they go through in passing really, like Rogue mentions, like Professor X could barely take this guy, and then that's it. Like they mention that, like they know who the character is, and he's a really tough character. Professor X could barely beat him. And you get a little bit of Storm's past, like she mentions, you can't control me like when I was a kid. They show, the fact that Storm is claustrophobic in maybe the fourth episode when like a wall falls on her. They mention that a lot actually. Her claustrophobia, like a lot, like they show it a lot of different times, and it actually made me wonder if they even remotely portrayed that in the movies, which I don't think they have, and maybe we'll get that in the new one, and I hope they do because it is actually a big part of Storm. Like it might seem simple, like she has a fear of small spaces if you don't know what claustrophobia is, but that can be a really big deal in a fight. Like a wall was falling on her and it made her claustrophobic and she couldn't move and Rogue had to save her life. So it's a big deal. You just have to write it in that way. So hopefully we'll get that in the new movie because like I said, I don't think they've shown it, but they put it in there a lot in the episodes. Overall though, this, like, just pick it up. I shouldn't have to say it's good or bad. Like obviously you've seen it. If you haven't, then you're like 5 now and you should, yeah, you should buy it. Buy it for anyone who's younger than you and hasn't seen X-Men. Like I'm probably gonna show my little cousins this because they should see it, and it's really good. Like I said, I don't think I need to say you should buy it, but definitely do. And like I said, it's on Amazon. Check it out. You'll get all the best stories just shot right at you. I think it ended. They're in the Savage Land. So for anyone who knows what that is, that's where they are, and it's only 16 episodes in, and they're in the Savage Land. They've gone through Sentinels, Days of Future Past, all that stuff, Savage Land, and that's in just Volume 1. So if you ever felt like you forgot all the important stuff, you can just buy the show, and it'll just shoot you through all the main stories. Like I feel like this, if I compared it to Spider-Man, I felt like Spider-Man went through sort of a day-to-day type of thing, but I guess that's because Spider-Man's story is a day-to-day type of thing. It's not just Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker living his life and dealing with being Spider-Man. And X-Men is more, it's X-Men and they do this specific task. So I think that's why it seems so different to me, because Spider-Man was, like I said, day-to-day, and X-Men sort of just jumps through time to give you the important stories, and they don't go through the little things here and there, but they do capture every character perfectly. Like Cyclops, like the first 2 episodes I was like, man, he seems like a douche. Like him and Wolverine fight all the time, obviously over Jean, but like they argue. I'm like, he seems like a dick. Wolverine and Gambit fight all the time, and Gambit is about to blow somebody up. And I love, there's an episode, it was actually the episode with Sabretooth. What happened was Hank got arrested, and pretty much the entire season he's in prison, so he's not in the episodes. They show him 2 or 3 times. Like Magneto comes to the prison and he's about to break him out, and Hank is like, I'm waiting for my court date because that's who Hank is, and Hank is Beast. If you didn't know that, then I don't even know what to say to you, but he stayed in prison pretty much the entire season until Kelly actually became president and he gave him a pardon and cleared his name and stuff. And I just thought, that is Beast, and that's a cool dynamic that they put into the show. Like, we're giving you the true characters. We aren't just gonna, have the characters in the show just to have them. If somebody did something based on their character, that's what's gonna happen. And Beast stayed in prison because that's who Beast is. So check it out. It has a lot of cool elements that you probably forgot from X-Men, and it's X-Men, so buy it. Thanks for watching.